To finish off now, we're going to sew the front to the gusset, and then we're going to sew the front binding on. So you need your front binding piece and your front. So find the center of your bottom, which might be on the inside of your different layers. I don't know if you can see this, but I found it right here. And I have my center of my gusset marked too. So I'm going to match these together. Wrong sides together, well, lining sides together, how about that? And I'm going to fasten this to it, but I am going to extend this about 1/2 inch at the top beyond, oh, no, I don't know. Pretend I didn't say that. We're going to match this top thing up so they're flush together. I was getting ahead of myself. Okay, since I'm going to be sewing it this way, I'm going to put the clips on this way. Especially with this large version, it's kind of heavy, and I feel like I'm wrestling to get it into place. All the pieces. So, just like with the back, we clip this into place and spread out these snips on the curves. And then we are going to baste it into place. So this should feel very familiar. It's just now we have more of a purse to wrestle. Do you ever feel like bag making is like wrestling? Because I sure feel like that. All the different layers. Just trying to get them into the right spot sometimes. Okay. So I have my stitch length still lengthened, and I'm going to sew right on top of this basting seam for the gusset, just like I did before. I'm just trying to move this out of the way. I'm bending it this way, even though it feels wrong to bend the purse. These fabrics will go back. They'll bounce back at the end. Okay, we've got the front basted on, And we are going to now do the binding. So take your binding, and just like we do every time, before we sew something in this pattern, we mark the center of it. And I find the middle of my bottom, and I'm going to sew the right side of the binding on the middle to the middle of the bottom. I'm going to match these together. And here, I got ahead of myself before, here's where we put this about 1/2 inch past the top here. Because after we sew it, we're going to fold this over the edge. Now, we're going to sew all the way around. You can sew this way, or you can sew this way, whichever way you prefer. It's going to be a little tricky either way. But I'm going to sew this way so I can have the vinyl on the bottom, because then the feed dogs will help pull it through. Okay. Okay. This is thick, but you can do it. Got pieces all over. I'm trying to clean them up so they don't scatter around while I'm sewing. I'm just trying to keep everything as flat as possible and the gusset and back of the purse out of the way, which actually I think is a little easier with this big purse than on the smaller purses, because the gusset is a little deeper. But the bottom corner is always the hardest in terms of moving the rest of the purse out of the way and getting things as flat as possible. Remember, we're going to be coming around one more time to sew this, but that will be the end. That will be the end of the purse except for the strap. So just think, the end is in sight. One of the nice things about this front part is that there are not a lot of different changes in thicknesses, so even though it's a struggle to maneuver everything, you don't at least have to worry about the thicknesses like the back. Okay, come on, make it through the last bit. Everything's shifting in this final part. Okay. Whew. We're close to the end, and hopefully I can finish this before my kids come home. Okay, this is almost the same as the front, where we just, the front we folded it like this. But here we're going to first fold over, and then fold like this. So it's going to look like this. Okay. If for some reason you are doing this with a gusset that is not on the bias, so this alternate gusset construction, but you're using binding that frays, then you will fold it over like this. But you'll be probably starting from the other side, because that's how I have been doing the fabric that frays. Okay. So once again, I fold this top part over this raw edge. See if I can get that to be not be blurry. So over this top edge, and then like that, and then fasten it into place. I predict that in the middle of this final seam, my husband and younger kids will come home, and my volume will have to suddenly switch off. Okay. Zoom back in to stitch it.